Hello everyone. Today we will study class 7 science chapter first, that is nutrition in plants. All of us in our earlier classes we have studied about food, sources of food as plants and animals. Now we are studying the nutrition in plants. So all of us we have to know about the nutrition. What is nutrition? Nutrition is a process, a method in which various type of organisms we also take in food, and in our food, this in our body, this food is utilized, digested, and after digestion or proper utilization we get energy for our survival and existence, etc. So this process in which food is taken in our body, and in our body it is properly utilized to get energy. So this whole process is known as nutrition. So nutrition is the process of taking in food and its utilization by the body is known as nutrition. Now there are various things, substances are found in the food which are necessary in our body for various purposes. These are known as nutrients. Oftenly we are advised that we should take a nutritious, balanced diet. What is the meaning of this balanced diet? It means balanced diet is the diet which has various food components, and in these food components various nutrients are present, and these nutrients are required by our body for various purposes. Some nutrients give us energy, some give us insulation against coldness, etc. Due to some nutrients our eyes may be healthy, and some are essential for our growth, etc. So these are the components of food which are necessary for our body. These are known as nutrients. Nutrients are actually the chemicals, the things, the substances which are present in the various food materials, food items which are necessary for our body. So nutrients, the components of food which are necessary for our body are known as nutrients, are called nutrients. Examples of nutrients: carbohydrates, fats, proteins, vitamins, minerals, and roughages also. Although roughages do not provide any nutrient, but which are also necessary for our body. So the main nutrients are carbohydrates, fats, proteins, vitamins, minerals, etc. After that, various modes of nutrition. So these are modes of nutrition. Modes, meaning of mode is a process, a method, a way. So there are various methods, processes, or ways of nutrition in different types of animals. So these modes of nutrition, the ways, the methods, or the processes of nutrition are known as modes of nutrition. We will study them. First type of or first mode of nutrition is autotrophic mode of nutrition. This word autotrophic is made from two words. First is auto, second is trophos, and both make autotrophs or autotrophic. Auto means self, trophos means nourishment. So self nourishment, it means they can prepare their own food. So this type of mode in which organisms, creatures, living organisms, living creatures can make their own food are known as autotrophs, and the mode or the way of nutrition in those organisms is known as autotrophic mode of nutrition, because they can prepare their own food. They do not depend for food on other animals, other organisms. They can prepare their own food by getting raw materials from the environment, from their surroundings, etc., and they can prepare their own food. Those are known as autotrophs, and the mode or way or method or process of nourishment, nutrition in those autotrophs is known as autotrophic mode of nutrition. So autotrophs are the organisms which make their own food. Examples: green plants. They have a green pigment, a green dye, a green color, plastid, that is known as chlorophyll. With the help of chlorophyll, they can prepare their own food. They do not depend for food on other organisms. With the help of some raw materials like carbon dioxide, water, sunlight, and this chlorophyll that is present in them as green pigment, chlorophyll. So they can prepare their own food by the process of photosynthesis, and this process of photosynthesis we have studied in our earlier classes. So by the process of photosynthesis they can prepare their own food. So they are known as autotrophs. Examples are green plants, and the mode of nutrition in these green plants, autotrophs, is known as autotrophic mode of nutrition. Then the second type is heterotrophic mode of nutrition. This is also made of two words, hetero and trophos. Heterotrophs or heterotrophic. Hetero means others, trophos means nourishment. It means for nourishment, for nutrition, they depend on other organisms or animals. It means they cannot prepare their own food. They take the prepared food from the other organisms or other animals, plants, etc. So they cannot prepare their own food, and they depend for food on other organisms. These are known as heterotrophs, and the mode of nutrition in these heterotrophs is known as heterotrophic mode of nutrition. Now we can take some examples of these heterotrophs. Heterotrophs, the organisms which depend for food on other organisms, are known as heterotrophs. They may be of various types. For example, they may be as parasites. Parasites are the organisms which depend for food on other organisms. They can live on the body or inside the body, and they do not prepare their own food. They take the prepared food from the organism on which they are living. Some live outside of the body and some live inside of the body, but they do not prepare their own food. They take the prepared food from the organisms. Those are known as host for the parasite, and they take the prepared food from those hosts. The common example of parasites is cascata or the amarbel. This is a vine-like plant. Those lives on big trees. This also a plant as a vine, as a bale, that is amarbel or cascata, that cannot prepare its own food, or we can say it mostly this takes the prepared food from the organism, that tree, that is host for it. And lyces, those are also the organisms which are found in our hairs, in our body, on our body, and those take the prepared food from our body along with the sucking of blood. Then leech, that is also an organism that is present generally in ponds, etc., and that takes the food from the other organisms. And some worms. For example, in our body, in our intestine, some worms are found. They live inside our body, in our intestine, and they take the food from our intestine. Those are liver fluke, roundworm, hookworm, tapeworm, etc. So those are also examples of parasites. Parasites, and second is saprotype. The main example between these is parasites. They take their food from living organisms, but saprotrophs, saprophytes take the prepared food from other organisms, but those other organisms are the dead bodies or decayed bodies. So dead and decaying bodies or organic matter is that thing from which they get their food. So these are known as saprotrophs or saprophytes. These are the organisms which they take their food from dead or decaying organic matter. They do not take the prepared food from the living organisms. They take from the dead organisms, dead remains, dead or decayed organic matter. They take their food from dead or decayed organic matter. For example, the commonest example is fungus. Fungus lives on plant barks, rocks, and ground, etc. And they release a chemical from their body on the organic matter. And due to that chemical, the organic matter converts into a absorbable material or substance that can be absorbed by these organisms easily. So these fungus or fungi are saprotrophs or saprophytes, which take their food from the dead or decaying organic matter. After that, holozoic mode also there, in which some organisms clean the environment, they decompose, they eat the dead bodies of animals, etc. and they take their food from the dead bodies of animals, etc. Those are known as scavengers, like vulture, hyenas, etc. These are the organisms that take their food from the dead bodies of animals. Now, all the plants and all the animals, after completing their lifespan, they are dead, or after this their body goes to the soil or environment, and the various types of bacteria decompose the organic matter, the substance by which the body of those organisms is made up of, and these bacteria, etc., convert these complex components into simpler ones. It means they decompose various components of their body. So these are known as decomposers. They also take their food from the dead bodies of organisms, animals, etc. Now, insectivorous plants, there are some plants which also take their food from the living organisms, and they take this food for fulfill the requirement of nitrogen or nitrogenous compounds to make protein, etc. So these are known as insectivorous plants. So they can prepare their own food also along with this to fulfill the requirement of nitrogen or nitrogenous compounds, etc. They take the food from the other living organisms also. These are known as insectivorous plants. It means these are the plants which eat the insects. So these are also known as insect eating plants. They eat other organisms for fulfilling the requirement of nitrogen to make protein. These are pitcher plant, Venus flytrap, Drosera capensis, etc. They take their food from the other organisms.